Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Oak Ridge Unitarian Universalist Church and our morning worship service. I invite you to warm up your voices and join with me in singing When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
Welcome one and all to our Pride service this morning. I'm so glad that you have joined us today. Whether you are a long timer or have just gotten here for the first time, we are so glad that you're here this morning. A few announcements for you. If you are new, I would like for you to go to our church website. That's a good way to find out about us. And you can do that by going to ORUUC.org. That's a place where you'll get asked to join, and we will then let you join. We just like to know who's there. And then you can start to get to know about us. Also, if you're visiting, there's a visitor form. You'll see the address for it up on your screen. Please go to that and just let us know about yourself, your name and contact information. That's a way for you to start to get into the communication loop of our community. We're very glad you're here today and hope you'll do that. Let yourself be known. We also have a Facebook group. I think I was getting confused. I think I was talking about this a minute earlier. Our website, you don't need to join, obviously. This is the group you join, the ORUUC Facebook group. And this is a place where we just do all kinds of communication and support of each other and share what's going on in our lives. We have a breakout group for newcomers that meets immediately following the service, and you see that Zoom number for that. It's called Inquirers. It's an opportunity for those of you just coming into the community to learn more about the community, expressly for newcomers, our Inquirers group. So look for that and hope that that's something you can do. I want you to know that our offering is divided, the undesignated offering. Half goes to our church ministries. The other half goes to various funds and organizations. And during this time of COVID-19, which for a family, many families, is a time of less income, more medical bills, we are making our recipient for our Split the Plate the minister's discretionary fund. This is a fund that the ministers of the church designate as a means of helping people, and we're making sure that for the month of June, people who are in difficult circumstances meeting basic needs because of COVID-19, we are making sure that they get the support that they need. So I invite you to keep that in mind later on when we have our offering time and offertory music, which is going to be very special today. Next week is going to be a very special Sunday. This is the time the annual meeting for Unitarian Universalists all over our country happens during this coming week. And next Sunday will be the culminating worship service. It is online, and next week, in lieu of our own service, we will all be joining the General Assembly, that's the annual meeting, the General Assembly Sunday worship next week, rooted, inspired, and ready. And as someone who has attended GA a number of times, this is a no holds barred, all out, wonderful, excellent service of music and preaching that will really, really be something you're glad you took part in. So look forward to that next week. And again, just welcome to everyone. We are so glad that you're here and looking forward to our Pride Sunday service with you this morning. Thank you.
And for our invocation, the words of my colleague and friend Helen Rose.
Blessed are the wanderers seeking affirmation.
Blessed are the worshipers praying from closets, pulpits, pews, and hardship.
Blessed are the lovers of leaving family and familiarity, leaving tables where love is not being served.
Blessed are those who stay.
Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for justice, for they will be satisfied.
Blessed are the queer, disciples of truth, living, breathing, sacred reflections of divine love.
We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives.
In prayer. Spirit of peace, source of all precious love, this morning, although physically distant, we are spiritually united, giving thanks for the invitation to life we receive with each breath in each moment. Spirit of peace, we seek in these historic times to simply stay awake, to bear witness to suffering, to give voice to the suffering within, to play our part in the beloved community rising up even now. On this Father's Day, we honor the profound, tender, and complex relationship that fatherhood can provide. We give thanks to those who have provided the nurture we sought and ask strength for whatever healing may still remain. And on this Pride weekend, we honor the courage and creativity and moral example of the BGTLQ community within ORUUC and beyond. We give thanks for the power of lives living in truth and the encouragement we find in each other to do likewise for as long as we live. Blessed be, and amen.
At this time, we are going to have some lovely music, and during that music, there are several things we invite you to do. One is to put a one-word message into the chat box that represents where you are this morning. This is a time to take stock. So what is it you're hoping for, longing for? What is concerning you or weighing you down? One word in the chat box. It's also time to light your own candle, or if you lit it during chalice lighting, to hold it up, and we'll be sharing those. We'll be capturing you if you're so inclined, holding your candle up. So it just does us all good to see each other's faces. Also, after this altar building time, if you would like something in the spoken prayer, you see on your screen the address to which to send this. It's an email address, oruuc.community.prayers@gmail.com. So if there's something that you would like for the community to hear about, it will be included in the prayer that follows this time. But I invite you now to take stock of your life, bring your full self into this time together as we create our community, our connections through this altar building time.
Watching the fireflies, it's like glitter in the trees. Thinking about you, baby, wishing you could see this with me. If there was magic in this world, I would take all your troubles away. I'd hurl them up into the sky and turn them into more fireflies, fireflies. Oh, what a beautiful sight, fireflies. Oh, on a cool summer night, nothing like fireflies. I wish I could feel that free, floating around in the breeze, letting my love shine bright for the whole wide world to see. If there was magic in this world, I would take all the fear and the hate, I'd hurl it up into the sky and turn it into more fireflies, fireflies. Oh, what a beautiful sight, fireflies. Oh, on a cool summer night, nothing like fireflies. Shine down on me, shine your light down on me, shine down on me, shine your light for all to see. A blanket of stars in the sky, shimmer a spark in me. There's magic in a song that can paint you a starry night. And I promise to spend all my days lighting up your life like fireflies. Oh, what a beautiful sight. Fireflies, oh, on a cool summer night. Nothing like fireflies. Nothing like fireflies.
Hear these, the prayers of the people. There is one among us who asks for prayers of patience, humility, and understanding as they get a new group started. Amen. May all of our endeavors be fruitful. And may we find that patience, humility, and stability and self-understanding and that wish to be understood. So we build and grow together, new opportunities to come together and to share, and to build new kind of community in new and novel ways. Prayers for all the fathers, for all those who do the work of fathering. This is not simply biological fathers, and prayers for all those who are missing their fathers on this day. This is sore loss. But we are held in a love that we cannot escape, a love bigger than all of us, a love bigger than all of our loss. It is the love of a mother, it is the love of a father. It is a love that contains us all. Amen. Blessed be.
We enter now the time of our offering. We have beautiful music to share, and during this time, I invite you to give. There is information on your screen about how to do that, a couple of ways. I remind you that our recipient this month that we're sharing with is the discretionary fund for the ministers of the church to support people in meeting basic needs, a place to stay, food, keeping their lights on during this time of COVID-19 and the challenges that it has brought to some in our wider community and in our own congregation. I invite you to step into your generosity as we hear this song.
We will walk together, you and I, walk together hand in hand. Come on, we will walk together, heads held high. We will reach the promised land. Come
Oh my goodness. Heidi, thank you so much. I think Nancy Starr helped with the song. What a special treat. I need to stand up and jump up and down right now. I'm just so filled with joy. But what I'll do instead is dedicate our offering. And what I think we need to know just from having witnessed those slides is that love knows no bounds. And the generosity of the money you have given today will go out and help people sincerely and desperately in need. And just know that as we make those gifts available to people, as we support them, they will then live fuller lives and they will be able to support others. And so love knows no bounds. Let's walk together, roll together, skip together, hop together, and know that when we come together as we have today, as we do every week, we will walk together toward beloved community. Thank you.
Rooted in love, we covenant, together in peace, to face conflict with compassion, to see strength in diversity, to share laughter and tears, to honor the profound in each of us. With purpose and passion, we care for one another and grow together, rooted in love.
Good morning. Juniper has asked me to speak for just a short time about the Welcoming Congregation Renewal Program, or WCRP, how it came about, and where we're heading. As most of you know, ORUUC became a welcoming congregation in 2009 after a year of hard work on the part of all of the congregation. Small group discussions, seminars, town halls, congregational tutorials, etc. were done to help us learn and grow into the designation of a welcoming congregation. Beginning in 2015, the UUA has required all churches with a welcoming congregation designation to recertify. This requires meeting 5 goals each year. 4 goals if you are already a welcoming congregation, which we are. The requirements we need to meet are welcoming worship services, welcoming days of observance, welcoming religious education, and support a welcoming project. Our first requirement, welcoming worship service, involves incorporating welcoming worship services into our ordinary calendar of worship every year. These services might occur during LGBTQ Pride Month or any other day of the year. An LGBTQ marriage ceremony, naming ritual, or remembrance ceremony may also fulfill this requirement. Welcoming Days of Observance is an annual recognition and celebration of the Welcoming Days of Observance. These days and seasons are important to LGBTQ communities because they bring visibility and affirmation after generations of invisibility and erasure. These days remind all that all of who you are is sacred, all of who you are is welcome. The third one, welcoming religious education, is a welcoming congregation module which is UUA approved seminar or webinar. Welcoming congregations may register for a webinar or may choose to sponsor a local seminar for its local congregation and community. Last is support a welcoming project. Welcoming congregations are congregations that give generously of our gifts and resources. Welcoming congregations may donate a sizable donation to a local and national organization, campaign, or project that uplifts the dignity of LGBT communities, or may participate in community projects that uplift the LGBTQ community. So where does ORUUC stand? Well, I am pleased to announce that in 2019, ORUUC accomplished all of these goals to maintain our welcoming congregation status. This year, we have some upcoming WCRP activities. Some of our upcoming plans include the fact that we are in the process of contacting Reverend Michael Slack, who is a UU minister and co-author of a workshop called Transgender Inclusion in Congregations, about the possibility of showing a 6-video series. This would be in conjunction with TVUUC, ORUUC, and Westside, in addition to our local Oak Ridge PFLAG chapter. We are also exploring the possibility of hosting a trans panel that would consist of 2 or 3 youth and adults. This would address trans issues of relevance and help to educate our congregations and help us become better, more informed allies. We will be partnering with the Oak Ridge PFLAG group in upcoming activities, including the trans video. This is tentatively planned for August. There are possibly some Pride activities coming up in the fall. If so, we will partner with PFLAG to participate. We are also planning to purchase some t-shirts to wear during these activities, which will have the logos of ORUUC, the Trans Allies Group, WCRP, and our local PFLAG chapter. We want to invite you to join our group. Our next meeting is this Tuesday, June 23rd, from 2:30 to 4 p.m. in the pavilion. We need all the help we can get. If LGBTQ issues is near and dear to your heart, we hope you will show up with your mask and your chair if you wish. We look forward to seeing you.
Thank you, Heidi. As Heidi has introduced, we are carrying forward the identity of this group as one resource for the congregation. As learners seeking sources of prophetic wisdom, as seekers of truth, and we offer some spaces for you to join the search for truth, but we are not the only space. Whether or not you plan to join others on a path together, the time is now to participate in a way that is for you, in a way that is new to you. The work of the welcoming congregation is not special. It is not in addition to church. It is essential. It is the very entry point to learning and leading the UU tradition, as every UU is a UU leader. We challenge ourselves, make mistakes. We try on other perspectives. We set aside ideas that no longer or never did serve the beloved community. We are the welcoming congregation of ORUUC, all of us. In our church community, we are participants and we engage our faith within, questioning and affirming our experiences, among, in partnership with our friends and family and community, beyond, carrying our voices with us into spaces of discomfort and discovery, and throughout as beings inseparable from all that is infinite. When you engage your UU faith, you listen to these words and deeds of Black activists, of Indigenous protectors, of trans creators, of visionary youth, of the streets unfolding right now in front of us, calling us to challenge our acceptance and our complicity in a violent, heartless economy of oppression. When you engage your UU faith, you face the labor of tearing down the monuments and myths inside of you and rebuilding from the narratives of the just. You see the wisdom of the world's religions holds stories and light and hope for a justice rooted in love. Struggles of the enslaved are in the stories. Acts of love are in the stories. The love, all love, is within us, and we are within all love. And yet, habits of the oppressor are habits of our own. They appear as the idolatries of the mind. They are the habits of comfort with a partial truth. When you engage your UU faith, you dismantle habit after habit. You battle the colonizer within, the enslaver within, intolerance, simplicity, silence. You dismantle your privilege. You try to never mistake the partial for the complete. You accept that the transformation can never be complete. And you embrace the journey in all of its ardor as your call. And when you are engaging your faith, you know that when you learn, you do not just learn. You bring new light into the world. You do not just learn a new friend's pronoun. You learn a sacred vibration in harmony with the rhythms of nature. This is the work of the welcoming congregation.
Have you ever stopped to think about all the different people that you love and all the different people who love you? There are many kinds of love and many ways to show someone you love them. Today I'm going to tell you a story about Valentine's Day. It may seem a bit strange to talk about Valentine's Day in June, but Valentine's Day is a celebration of love, and Pride Month is a time where we celebrate all the many ways that people can and do love each other. People often give each other cards on Valentine's Day to show that they care. Receiving a Valentine from someone can make you feel special and appreciated, especially when it's a homemade Valentine. Think of the people that you might give Valentines to. Maybe your parents or your grandparents or your friends. But what about the state governor? Well, on Valentine's Day in 2005, thousands of Unitarian Universalists in California sent Valentines to their governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Do you think they sent him Valentines because they loved him? No. They sent him Valentines to teach him something about love. You see, California had a law about who was allowed to get married and who was not. The law said that if a man and woman loved each other, they were allowed to show their love and become a family by getting married. But if two men loved each other or two women loved each other, the law said they could not get married. We are Unitarian Universalists. We value all love. When a law says someone's love is better or more important than other people's love, we believe that is hurtful and unfair. Telling two women or two men who love each other they cannot get married also means the laws won't protect their family. The law says the community does not have to help them share their life plans, their money, or even their children in the same way other couples can. That's why UU congregations in California decided to get involved and speak out about the law. They wanted to tell the governor how important marriage equality was to them. If he understood that, then he might support marriage equality too. The California congregations could have done things like made phone calls to the governor or written emails, but they wanted to do something just a little more special, a little more intense to get the governor's attention. So, In the days leading up to Valentine's Day, people in almost every UU congregation in California made Valentines for Governor Schwarzenegger. Children and adults alike cut out hearts in red, pink, and all the colors of the rainbow. They wrote messages of love, acceptance, and justice, because that's what marriage equality is all about. Dear Governor, wrote one woman from the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley, roses are red, violets are blue. All people deserve the same rights as you. All the California congregations mailed their Valentines to the UU Legislative Ministry in Sacramento, the capital of California. So did dozens of other congregations. 3,800 Valentines in all. The Valentines were collected in huge bags made of see-through gauze, the same material as a bride's veil. Everyone could see all the special cards Governor Schwarzenegger was getting. The bags stuffed with the Valentines were brought directly to the governor's office. It was a bold, beautiful statement for love. But unfortunately, later that year, when Governor Schwarzenegger had the chance to support marriage equality, he did not. But don't let that make you think the Valentines weren't important. Sometimes it takes a while to change someone's mind and even longer to change their heart. The governor did not forget the Valentines. A couple of years later, he changed his mind and said he agreed with the many Californians that the marriage laws were unfair. Unitarian Universalists did not give up the fight for marriage equality. The journey was long and difficult. But 10 years later, in 2015, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in favor of marriage equality and sent the message that all love is equal. And just this month, the justices decided that gay and transgender people are protected under the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which says that no one can be denied work based on their skin color, their religious beliefs, who they are, or who they love. These rulings have supported love and made life better for many people. But there is still so much work to do to make all love and all people equal. So go ahead and make a Valentine and send it to someone in your community or a leader in your government. We don't have to think really hard to think of a leader who might need some love lessons. But make them a Valentine and let them know that you side with love. May it be so.
Beneath our arms we shelter you. You warm our hearts as you pass through. May all of God you as you go to help you learn and help you grow.
Wow. This week has felt like a whole month. I've spent so much of this past week pastoring in ways I never could have anticipated, and it has been an intensely formative experience, like a whirlwind of joy and sorrow, whipping around and, settling into a feeling I do not have the tongue to describe, and far be it from me to want to harsh the vibe of this celebration service, but it has been a mixed up week. I like to think of myself as something of a poet, so I'll find myself being without words to be a little frustrating, but here we are. As Christina mentioned in the Supreme Court decision, to extend employment protections to LGBTQ plus people, a victory, albeit a bittersweet one here in Tennessee, where poorly named right-to-work laws allow employers to can anyone they like with nigh impunity. Another fight to still struggle against. And also in the cruel move from the White House to erase healthcare protections for LGBTQ plus people, and on the anniversary of the Pulse massacre no less, a deeply disturbing tragedy. In the celebration of Juneteenth in Knoxville, I saw at least 1,000 people walking by my house, a brilliant hope amidst the gloom, and in my personal life, attempting to tend to my people, while also knowing that I have to pull away here soon to go to Johnson City to begin my clinical pastoral education, a sadness. And as I reflect on all these happenings, all these complicated inner workings, the personal and the political, I look back on a recent visit to a friend of mine. I was just coming by to pick up my guitar after forgetting it at her house following a socially distant fire pit gathering. And as I sat down on her porch with her just to rest my feet and catch up, we got caught up talking about all the goings on. And my friend, she is a self-made sister, a trans woman like myself, a pillar in this community with a smile as broad as Noah's Ark and the strong heart of a soul tempered in the struggle of becoming. And here we were, and she was hurting. And so was I, not knowing how to hold all the events of the week, of the month, or the past several years in one human body. Tears of joy and sorrow mingling together, of confusion, of not knowing how to control all these moving pieces, of fear of getting sick, going back to work due to a premature reopening of the state, of worry over how hard it is to find employment in this area as a trans woman. I feel all of this. I feel all of this. I know all this hurt too well, and I had no platitudes of hope to offer. All I had was my presence. Sometimes that's all that we have to offer, the sacredness of silence. Sitting in the confusion, sitting with the hurt, witnessing to the pain when there just aren't good answers, so much grief, so much worry. She gave a voice to the feeling I had been pushing away, trying to keep all my moving pieces in play, that she simply doesn't know how to feel, saying that it seems like she ought to have this great hope given the recent Supreme Court decision, but this move from the Trump administration had just knocked the wind out of her sails. Couple this complexity with the grief from Pride being canceled, although we are celebrating in our new way here today, with worry over the virus, what could one feel but this complex, nightmarish ambiguity? The shadows themselves seem to be frightfully alive sometimes, wrapping around our ankles, the wind knocked out of us by the sheer meanness of a rule threatening to curtail our basic access to health care. And then the Supreme Court, God bless them, turns around and passes this landmark decision to extend employment protections to LGBTQ plus people, knowing for us that, as I mentioned before, it might not actually help us here. And it feels kind of like throwing confetti at a funeral. It leaves one wondering, it leaves me wondering, am I just being ungrateful? But friends, I tell you, I am joyful to be here with you, but I am also a righteously angry soul today. I feel the righteous anger of my queer angel ancestors flicking pennies at the cops at Stonewall. I feel the swelling frustration of the protesters in Greenwich Village chanting out of the bars and into the streets, fire and brick and blood and glass, and angry and tired. I am so tired of being told to just be grateful for what we are given. I'm tired of knowing that when I'm old and gray, this battle will likely still be being fought not for the plastic, cartoonified platitudes of equality, just for equality's sake, but for real, breathing, and living justice. The road is long, friends, but I am proud to be on it with each and every one of you. After all, this is a pride sermon, and I am damn proud to preach it. Donald Trump and his legion of sycophants will have to rip the pride from my still beating heart, for nothing in this world can squelch the pride I feel for my people, my brothers and sisters and kindred souls of all colors and kinds who paved this road that I, along with all of you, are still paving today. Even as we toil in the withering rain, nothing can crush the pride I have in my faith and this Unitarian Universalism we celebrate. For all of our imperfect strivings to open our hearts, our minds, and our doors ever wider to let more love in, ray by luminous ray. I hold my pride high and bright, even as it's called a mortal sin, even as I know that my ministry will be challenged with accusations of monstrosity, just as my colleagues who have come before me, bearing trans bodies into this work, have held pride, anger, hope, despair. This complex whirlwind of feeling racks the soul like a small ship in a hurricane. But through it all, I'm still here. You are still here. We are still here, building the road to beloved community unto that far-off day when everyone is free. As I wrote this sermon, carrying all this complexity in my heart, not really sure what to say, with more than a few tired tears in my eye, I glanced out my window where the sky meets the tree line. Luminous lavenders, Goval's oranges, oceanic blues, and this burning red of a weekday evening of a Tennessee June meddling together with the emerald canopy of the big green oak tree behind my house. And I saw the squirrels chasing each other on the fence post. I saw the last birds of the evening flying and flirting and singing their evensong, was kissed in the eye by the lavender and sunflowers and thistles of the garden, reflected on the unseen soul-stitching web of mycelium, the fungus weaving this whole little ecosystem together with reciprocity and a kind of more than human love. And all that hurt, and all that worry, and all that sorrow for my weeping kin was held still for just a moment, because I saw the holy there. I wanted to take off my shoes. I wanted to run outside. I did both of these things. I sat on my back patio and stretched my neck up to behold all the colors of the sky and all my more than human family above and below and around me, completely oblivious to the culture war raging around us. And for a moment I had a kind of peace. Not a passive peace, but that prayerful peace, like the breath of the Great Mother on my face, and it brought me here to a new kind of pride, and it left me feeling held in the sacred. As I sat out yonder in wonder and awe, I thought back on my childhood, sitting always on the front row of the wooden pew in my little Presbyterian church in Rockwood, Tennessee, cracking open the old King James, page 1 or 2. Many of us know this story in Genesis, God crafting the world in 7 days of epic myth. God made this, God made that, a vague count of fish, of plants, of beasts, of birds, a light to rule the day, a light to rule the night, man and woman in perfect bifurcation, and there the twain shall meet. And I reflected on how casually I took this for capital T truth. And of course, I was a child and wasn't particularly considering the world in terms of ambiguities, much less feeling them on my bones back then, and much less embodying them in my flesh and my clothes and my voice and my whole life. But that story, if one takes it at full face value, what does one get? The night, the day, the dark and the night alone, and the rapture of the evening with all these colors I did not see, this seizure-inducing flicker of night, day, night, day, night, day, nor have I ever known that, nor has any eye pointed towards the sky and said, it's just two things. In my eyes, this story, taken purely at face value without inferring anything, falls a little short. No shade, but a broken creation, one characterized primarily by bifurcation and compartmentalization of nature, as well as our severance and separation from it, rather than the profound yet simple intimacy that I was experiencing with the world around me in that moment, or the wondrous knowing that my body, my strange, transitioned, new kind of body, was inexorably, undeniably a part of all this nature that surrounded me then, just as it does right now, woven into the fabric of reality, just as all of us are. Even this technology we are using now to share and worship together, this too is a part of nature in all its splendor and all its diversity. Of course, this Genesis story must also account for all the colors of the sky, the hues in between the night and the day, the rosy mornings, and the beautiful twilight I found myself in. Myth is a powerful bedrock upon which cultures forge and find their roots. And as we are all myth makers, even to this day, we ought to write between these lines, knowing that whatever loving creator crafted the rainbow, the twilight, the morning, that brewed the sea to spring forth creatures of all kinds past and all kinds to come, of all plants long past and those yet to bloom, must also hold and carry, yes, man, yes, woman, and yes, all beings, all ways, all kinds of interpretations of the human condition in between and beyond these simple binaries. The ways we learn to articulate ourselves, and the ways we learn to love one another. There is nothing more blasphemous to me, if there were anything worthy of such a harsh title, than the compartmentalization of the grandeurs of nature, the same nature that we are all a part of, into neat, rigid boxes. And even more so, the attempt to rigidly structure societies against the diversification of nature, those who would attempt to put a chain on the wildness of the wilderness and turn the beauty of this world into a bland and fruitless monoculture and stifle the evolution of culture into a kind of society of control. As I looked above at the shifting majesty of the sky, I then turned my gaze below, ears filled with birdsong, eyes flooded with the greens and grays and browns of the earth below and beneath, knowing in my mind, in my heart, and my soul, that even a spoonful of the soil must contain 100 different species of fungi, those first friends to fall on the land in times so long ago that broke hard stone into soil, paving the way for all that lay around, above, below, and within me, within you, within all of us. Gay, straight, black, white, all of us. And all this wonder, within me, that ambiguous frustration yet stirred. The mourning for the loss of pride parades and festive community building that ought to fill June, both with the canceled pride parade and the strange marriage of joy and sorrow that we are both learning how to connect in new and novel ways, evolving and adapting as Mother, Father, Nature would have us do, yet also feeling far away. It's the same kind of existential angst that comes with the rising in the morning for another day of thankless work when you haven't had a day off and gods only know how long it's been, a tiredness, a woe, a worry for what the future holds. But friends, I tell you true, even as those feelings flew back, I was left changed in some way. Something I had long considered felt incredibly real, like the breath of God herself washed over me. And I felt strangely new because I knew then, and still know now, that this nature, the same nature that holds both the songbird of the morning and the car in your driveway, the wood of the tree and the metal in your computer, exalts in, revels in, absolutely celebrates and loves diversity. Even across the eons as species rose and fell, I believe all these things were loved in a more than human way by this nature, laughing and crying at the same time, as new creatures rose from the world and fell into ashes. And on a macro scale, in the bigger picture, a heart of hearts knows this to be true. And on the macro scale, in our little days, in our short lives compared to the billion-year life of this wild cosmos, nature exalts in diversity within our cultures, within our societies, within our day-to-day lives. It's a love of the new all the way down. Let 1,000 genders bloom. Let 1,000 ways of loving and knowing one another with all the depth of humanity spread their roots. Let all the colors of the sky speak this gospel, that nature, that God is on the side of love, is on the side of justice, that elates in diversity. I am still learning, as many of us are, how to live in this world. I am still learning how to be, how to lead, and how to love this world through its deep, deep wounds. So friends, as we endure the news, as our hearts carry on through this crisis, look up, look down, look around and around and around. All that diversity, all that difference, all this is the cosmos whispering wordlessly the wonders of a love that we cannot escape, that we are completely and wholly a part of. There is no power, no state-sanctioned violence that can resist this love. So let us rise like the flowers of spring. Let us do what we can. Let us love this world and the world on the way through all its wounds, even though our eyes be filled with tears and our voice shakes. Let us love through the wound. Let us open the heart of those clouded with hate and meanness to the beauty of the world and the depth and the possibility and the human condition in this month of pride on this Father's Day, separated as we may be. Let us sow seeds of love however we can, wherever we can, and let 1,000 flowers bloom with all of the colors of the sky. For we, all of us, beyond the woke and the problematic, are all beloved children of nature. Amen.
Everyone take a deep breath and join me in singing our closing hymn, All Creatures of the Earth and Sky.
Flame of fire so strong and
prophetic church, people of all kinds and ways of being and loving themselves and loving this world. This world awaits your liberating ministry. Go out into the world carrying that righteous work that makes us free. Go in peace and stick around for faith formation.